It had been 3 days since the defeat of the demon legions, and the Saurian forces were exiting the mountain range. Sekaloth had kept to himself, ruminating over the events of the past days. In the brief moment at the start of the battle with the courtesan of lust, Sekaloth had been confronted with the darkness of his own soul. And in the eyes of the daemons, he saw the potential price he would have to pay for the power to reclaim Tal Kriash. For the first time in centuries, Sekaloth felt doubt. He consulted the stars, and his magic spoke to him of answers that might be found with the Infernal Dwarves of Devitos. They were known to be skilled seers, and their aid could be bought if they respected the ones who petitioned them. He only hoped that the forces that remained with him were enough to keep the dwarves from seeing them as an easy mark. As he reached the outskirts of the city, that hope was dashed as the gates opened and the slave forces of the Infernal Dwarves swarmed out to meet them in battle. Alright guys, welcome to another battle report. Game 3 of Southern Assault 7 GT in Durham, North Carolina this past weekend. I have jumped up quite a bit after my 16-4 against the Demon Legions and find myself playing another member of the Columbia Misfires. This is a really awesome Infernal Dwarf army with no dwarves in it. If you actually look, he's got, I think, 20 or 25 actual dwarves, and everything else is greenskins. So it's pretty cool. We are playing Denied Flank, and we are fighting over the center where you see that bead there. It's the hold the ground objective. So lots of scary things in his army. I will be going over it in detail. If you want to know the details of my list, you are more than welcome to check out the video where I went into all of those choices and see it there. So let's go ahead and get into deployment. Alright, so on the side, this is his unit of 45 Hobgoblin Archers with bows and shields. Then he's got a unit of 25 Disciples of Lugar with a champion and paired weapons. Then there is a scary big unit of 5 Tarok Anointed, and with them is the Tarok Subjugator, his battle standard bearer, who has that lovely banner showing Danny DeVito. They are the Disciples of DeVito, as we were told. He has the Lucky Shield, the Ogre Sword, and the Talisman of Shielding, and is the battle standard bearer. That model is actually cool. It was the one that won the Player's Choice for best model in the tournament, so that was pretty cool. Behind that on the hill is a Hobgoblin Bolt Thrower. Next to that is his general, a prophet with 3 spells to alchemy on a Temple Lamasu, who is a wizard's apprentice. Or is that... he actually might be a wizard's apprentice, which if he is, I think we played that wrong. I think we were playing him as a master. I don't know. The list I don't think is exactly right. In front of that is the big Infernal Engine. Then he has a unit of 20 Orc Slaves with paired weapons. Behind that is another Hobgoblin Bolt Thrower. And then over here on this flank is another 50 Hobgoblins with bows and shields. And then a unit of little 5 Hobgoblin Wolf Riders with light lances. And just to let you know, some of the terrain is hard to tell. That terrain that's in between his Lancer unit and the Hobgoblins is actually a forest. A lot of this terrain needs more color to it to help tell the difference, particularly on this particular field. Kind of threw us a lot. So with my deployment, I've got my Spearback, and I just noticed, I think he's too close to me for his Vanguard move. I think he still has to be 12 away from me, but sorry, that distracted me for a moment. Then in front of, next to that is my Skink Hunters. My General's unit in the Temple Guard, hiding behind the hill away from those bolt throwers, are my 2 monsters. Then I've got my big Spearman unit. Then I've got the Caimans, in front of them the other Spearback, and the bows here. I put the bows here because those Disciples of Lugar he has, they don't have any armor. They got a 5-up ward save, so I'm figuring probably the best way to deal with them is to just start hurling wounds at them and force them to fail it, kind of bleed them down. I'm figuring those Terex, probably my best opportunity there is to hit them hard with the Spearmen and support with the Caimans, so that's kind of what I'm looking at to do there. Beyond that, I'm not really worried about a whole lot. Those 50 bows, like 100 total bows, it's a lot of wounds, but it's still only strength 3, and I got some decent armor in the army, so I'm kind of hoping for that to keep me alive. Infernal Dwarves turn 1, he moves up pretty aggressively, wants to block up my shooting with his Lancer guys. I think he uses the Slave Orcs just as a throwaway unit, like kamikaze, to do damage, so they go running forward. And he desperately wants to get that Inferno engine into something, and I want to avoid that as long as possible. Over here, the Terex come rushing forward as well. The Dwarves do considerably slower, but it is what it is. He ends up, I don't think he got magic off, so I think this might be shooting. I think he opened up with some shooting on the guys on the hill, or on the 50 archers, and kill a single temple guard with 50 shots. Over here, he shoots 50 shots at the Spearback and inflicts 1 wound. So this is kind of what I was saying. I'm not overly worried about it at this point. Then he does some other shooting, maybe from the bolt thrower, or maybe the bolt thrower was into the temple guard, and this is the 50 shots. That might be right. So I'm down to 3 skinks, but they're all right. They don't panic. And then he gets the bolt thrower into this Spearback and kills him. So that's a little more troublesome. Then we go to my turn 1, and things aren't good. I try to charge both the Caimans and the Spearmen into the Terox, wanting to get on them before they get on me, and I rolled 2 sets of 3 and failed both charges, and basically I moved me up into automatic charge range for anything he wants to get in on me. That's a bad day. I decide to go ahead and take the risk. I send Stygia around to go deal with those 50 archers. I figure I hit them, kill them, get into his back, and take care of those spear guys. Maybe rain some more pain with the swarm of insects. I also bring up the Taurosaur to help support the guys in the middle, and use my 3 skinks as chaff on that engine, because I don't want it and the Terex getting into me. I end up popping off an unerring strike on the engine, and I believe I do 3 wounds to it. And then this Spearback here eradicates the 5 Hobgoblin Wolf Riders. So ID turn 2, he charges these slave orcs into the front of my Temple Guard, and I got no worries whatsoever here. I think I'm actually going to win this fight, because these guys they're not that good compared to what I'm swinging back at them. And even if things just do go absolutely apeshit and go bad, I'm going to be stubborn up there forever. It's going to take him a long time to shake me off. And by the time he does that, I can bring more help. This, however, is decidedly more annoying. The Terex go into the Caimans, and I'm pretty much thinking they're toast at this point. He flies his general on the Lamasu over to start throwing some spells around. He brings the engine into the front of the skinks. He's got one wound on his bolt thrower back there. I may have hit him with Swarm of Insects last turn to penalize his ballistic skill. I'm not entirely sure. It's hard to do these battle reports after you've done so many games. You miss out on a couple of the small details. He turns up the dwarves here. They start hoofing it to come get into some action. During magic, the Lamasu actually has its own spell that throws -1 to be hit on the orcs, so that's a little bit more annoying. He then does some shooting and puts 1 wound on the spearback. He does a lot more shooting and kills most of the unit of skink bowmen, and they panic and run. And the train obviously runs straight over the skinks, and that's just how that's going to go. Over here, he has killed all but one of the Gaimons. As you see, his little cowardly tail is running off. But he didn't pursue very far at all. And even more importantly, he did not pursue far enough to get out of the line of sight of my spear block. And I'm thinking this is the absolute best chance I've got to take these guys out. Even if it is going to expose my flank to the dwarves coming up, I cannot say no to this. And over here, it went pretty much as I expected. It doesn't look like his orcs killed anyone. And I killed almost their back rank. They weren't stubborn. I won by enough, and he broke. I tried to chase and did not. So now I got trouble because that engine is going to go into them, so I'm going to have to countercharge it my next turn to stop it from going after my general. So my turn 2, I decided to go ahead and do that because it is random movement, so you can see the Taurosaur hitting it. But I also decided to go ahead and go after the orcs. They don't flee very far. I catch them and turn to face this way. I also send Stygie into the front of the archers. He takes a wound from stand and shoot for his... Or maybe it's taken a wound earlier, but he's got a wound on him at this point. Over here, with the Taurosaur out of the way, I easily get the charge into the flank of the Taruks with almost all my spearmen. There's a few ranks left out, but it should still be enough where I can win this battle. Over here, the awesome skinks see the Saurus coming to their rescue and turn around and rally. The Cayman, however, still thinks it's time to get the hell out of Dodge and ends up very close to the edge of the table. Over here, I turn around to try and take some pot shots at his general, maybe get some free points. And Unerring Strike comes to my rescue again as I blow this bolt thrower off the board. We go into combat here. I think I put a wound on the engine, but take 2 in return. I think I win because of the charge, or we push, I don't recall. But neither of us are going anywhere for a while. And over here, I do lose 5 spearmen for the trouble and show my ass end to these crazy dwarves. But it is so worth it to kill what is like an 1100 plus point unit. I'm okay with that. Plus the character, yeah, it was just, they're a mess, and they needed to go away, and I'm very happy. Over here, I do a bunch of wounds to the archers. He is steadfast, doesn't break, and reforms into bus formation. ID turn 3, I catch dwarves in the ass. Not a pleasant sensation, nor a sentence I like repeating. Over here, he brings his general into the flank of the Taurosaur, hoping to hurry up and free up the Infernal engine. He does some more shooting and kills enough skinks to make them panic again. And during combat, the Taurosaur does die, but by the end of it, I've inflicted 5 wounds on the Infernal Engine. These guys, I don't kill very many of them. They end up getting enough static combat res from everything to break me and run me down. So big old spear unit is gone. My turn. Rally time. The Cayman rallies and the 3 remaining Skinks rally. So this is great because now I have 3 scoring units left on the board. These 2 in the Temple Guard. And my opponent only has 1. Well, 1 that is not engaged. He's got the archers way off the side because these dwarves don't score and nothing else he has does. So at this point, having learned my lesson from my last game, I start thinking about the scenario and trying to figure out how I can take advantage of the very small but significant number of scoring guys I've got at this point. Charge the general's unit into the flank of these guys. This is why I said there was only 1 left, because they're going away. And then I bring the spear back to still try and put some wounds on things. I think I may be trying to shoot at the Infernal Engine this turn, just trying to sneak some wounds through. During magic, I pop a 6-inch scrying to make sure that I don't lose anything on the way to killing these guys. And I do, you can see that I reformed. I forgot to take a picture of the actual combat, but I did kill them all and I reformed to look towards the center. My opponent reforms to look this way. He doesn't get to move afterwards because he has no musician in this unit. So I'm okay with that. The nice thing is I think, I'm out of his front line with the Skinks, and I think I can actually get there with the Cayman too, provided I succeed a march check. I think he realizes what I'm going for too, so he starts pushing these archers up real hard to get towards the center of the board to fight over it. And then he leapfrogs with his general over here to put himself into good spellcasting range. And then it's my turn. I stop all of his spells, and I start bunching everybody up here. I'm trying to keep an eye on what's going off on the right with Stygie. My general and his Temple Guard are heading for the objective, and I'm still planning on using the Spearback to try and take out the other Bolt Thrower. He is deciding to get the Infernal Engine the hell out of Dodge because he doesn't want me picking up the points for it. And this is where he ends up with, it kept falling off of its base because it's not glued there, so the base is where the engine is right now. I do shooting, and looks like I get a couple of wounds off on the Bolt Thrower. During his turn 5, maybe actually that was when I do kill the engine. That last picture might have been when I killed it, but he ends up charging his general into Stygie. This is probably going to go badly, but maybe I'll sneak a wound through or 2 through. He does some shooting. I think he throws a Bolt Thrower into the Temple Guard and kills 1, or maybe that's his archers. I don't recall which. During combat, yeah, he obviously kills Stygie and overruns, ends up not clipping my unit and running past behind them. So, my turn 5. You see, he had to reform his guys again here. So, I've managed to move these guys around so that the very tip edge of this Cayman is within 6 inches of the counter. So are the Temple Guard. So are the Skinks. So I've got to the point now where he's got to kill 2 units and get his guys within there, so he's got to either charge or march on his next turn, which will be turn 6. So I've basically got it to the point, unless he can make like a stupidly long charge with these dwarves, hit the Temple Guard and kill them, that I've got the scenario. So that's what we're looking at this point. I just am hoping that this works the way I think it will. I move the uh, spear back around behind so I can still shoot, but I didn't want to leave him up front because I didn't want to give a chance for the dwarves to hit him and then overrun into the into the temple guard. And I think that the dwarves need like a 10 to hit there, so I'm thinking I'm pretty safe. And just to make sure that it was going to go well, I drop an unerring strike on them, figuring up that I thin them down. In the unlikely event that they do get to me, there'll be less of them there to hurt me, so I should be feeling pretty okay about that. And my shooting takes out this bolt thrower, so I'm in good shape there too. And then I will be damned if those dwarves didn't put on rocket skates and run the fucking half mile to get into my face. But yeah, they got there. So rolled a 10, got in, and I'm still thinking I'm okay, in part because I don't know what these guys do and I don't realize how much pain they're about to put into my face. He decides to go ahead and charge the skinks. He's going to kill them, but that's all he gets to do. The Cayman and the Temple Guard are still where they need to be. All I'm praying at this point is that those dwarves don't kill the Temple Guard or run them off. If they run them off, then we're contesting. If they don't, then where we're sitting right now is going to net me the objective over my opponent. So obviously, skinks get killed, overrun to here. His general kind of flew around to this point. And some fighting went on. I lost a few of the Temple Guard, but not enough. I lose? Yeah, because I didn't do much back to him. I lose, but I'm bodyguard, so I stick. My turn 6. All I really do back here is I move around the spear back to try and put some more wounds on his general. And looks like I get one. We go into combat, and things go hard. I do not kill very many, and he starts slaughtering Temple Guard all over the place. You will, however, notice 1, 2, 3, 4 Temple Guard survive the onslaught. I am still stubborn, and I stick. So, we add up the points. My opponent was up on me by 120 points, something like that, making it a 10-10. But because I managed to steal the scenario, turns into a Saurian Ancients victory 13-7. This was an absolutely great game. I had so much fun. I don't want to like name a favorite opponent, but I'll be honest, all 3 games I played with the Columbia Misfires were amazing, fun games. They're great opponents. And this is like a super interesting list to me for the Infernal Dwarves, because I've only played them once before, and it was very much like a dwarf infantry heavy list that very much played to me that it felt like a Dwarven Holds list with a few tricks and a lot of war machines. This went really light on the war machines, lots of heavy green skins. The Teruks are terrifying looking. So it was very interesting, very fun, and it came down to the wire like great games do. So I had a huge amount of fun here. Great way to end day 1. And this may have been my favorite game of the whole tournament. Very, very likely. If somebody put a gun to my head and make me choose, I would say 95% chance that this would be it. But it was great. My list is performing very well. I seem to be a little too anxious to throw away the Spearman, but I think the sacrifice was worth it. If those Toruks had survived, I wouldn't have. So it was a good survival tool. And the Temple Guard have been pulling their weight way more than I've expected to. You go to the forums, and you hear folks talk about how the Temple Guard are awful, and they're terrible, and they're useless, and this and that and the other. And I just don't get it. They're doing the job for me. I'm enjoying them, and they're getting shit done, and that bodyguard is amazing. And, you know, Strength 5 is really nothing to scoff at either. Yeah, they're slow. They're only 4 up armor save, but they've been coming through in a pinch, so I can't really argue the point. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. 2 more games the next day to deal with. I will go up a little bit higher in tables and play the 3rd member of the Columbia Misfires that I get to play this tournament. And face off against Dread Elves. So, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you are of a mind to, go to my Patreon and throw a couple of bucks my way. Whatever you can afford would be certainly appreciated. Help me get to these tournaments. Help me keep working on the hobby and presenting videos for you guys to watch would be certainly appreciated. I thank all those who have already done so. But like I said, 2 more videos for the tournament to go. So we will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.